Welcome to the Actor's Side. Today, Bob Odenkirk, the star of Better Call Saul, and of course, so well known as Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad, and now Jimmy McGill on Better Call Saul, the prequel.
Yes.
It's so interesting to me, your career. We're talking about acting here because you didn't really start out to be a serious actor here. You were in comedy.
Yeah.
And how did all this evolve? How did you get into comedy in the first place?
Oh, I loved comedy from when I was a little kid, and I lived in Naperville, Illinois, and I used to watch Monty Python on Channel 11. I loved Saturday Night Live too, and SCTV, and I loved the Goodies and the Two Ronnies, but Monty Python was a major joy to me, and there was a direct, intense amount of connection I felt towards the mindset of that show. And so I wrote sketches, and I
started to write sketches?
Yes, I just started to write sketches around 9 or 10 years old, and I got a typewriter. My mom gave me this little typewriter, and I started to write comedy sketches, fake commercials, and then I wrote sketches for school. My 6th grade teacher, Mr. Chardulo, had me, of course I won't forget this because it was a big influence on me, as part of my school project, had me, allowed me to write comedy sketches about the topic. That was my book report or whatever report I did as a performance. Wow. And with other people in it. And I did 3 or 4 of those in that school year, and I played them for the class, and then they had to have me go around the school and play them for other classes because they were funny and they got laughs. And so they had entertainment value on top of whatever lessons were in there. One was about Lincoln, one was about the Chicago fire, one was about the country of Ghana. I don't know what I wrote about that. It encouraged me, and it was a fun thing to do, and it included rehearsal and writing and rewriting. And that's what got me going. And then I proceeded to just write comedy and do it, not thinking about a career, because I lived in Chicago, outside of Chicago, and I didn't know anyone in showbiz, and I never had any notion of I could do this for a living. I mean, it just seems so ludicrous, and it's not even a thought you have. Yeah. It's not even a thought that you question or test in your mind.
What was SNL like then? So you went there?
Well, I went to Saturday Night Live before I did Second City, and thanks to Robert Smigel, my friend Robert Smigel, who I'd been working with in Chicago, then he got hired there. Then over the course of a year and a half, I continued pursuing a career and sharing my scenes with him, which he would pass around the office. And so when a job possibility came up at Saturday Night, Lorne gave me a chance, which is crazy because I did the worst interview ever with Lorne Michaels. I went in there thinking, well, this guy's not going to want his ass kissed, right? I mean, he's been in this for so many years. The last thing he wants is somebody to go in and gush about how great this show is and how much they want to work here. That's like somebody he won't hire. So I went in kind of honestly saying, I love Python. This show seems kind of limited to me. It's good sometimes not as good. I had this attitude in my interview. Crazy.
Wow.
Like, who would go in with that? But maybe he saw through my nervousness and anxiety and gave me a chance. So I wrote there for 3.5 years, and I learned a lot. Mostly I benefited from working at Saturday Night Live more than the show benefited, for sure. I was not a great contributor there. I was kind of a helpful co-writer on quite a few things. But as far as leading the way or being a helpful, responsible contributor, I was third tier at best. It just was a struggle for me, I think towards the end I got better at it. I was able to help Chris Rock and Adam Sandler, David Spade, and of course Chris Farley with a lot of stuff, because by the 3rd year I was there, I was starting to learn the ropes and learn the demands of the show, of the actual effort of making that show. There's so many things you have to come to grips with that are just production demands. Yeah. And I finally was getting those to be a part of my thought process. And so I was able to help out just towards the end. And then I took off because I knew I wanted to perform. And I told Lauren, I'm not a good enough performer. I haven't done it enough. I'm not seasoned in any way. But I love performing. I think of it as a component of what I do as a writer. And I know I have to leave here and go to Chicago or LA and just perform more and develop in that way to satisfy my own desires in the business.
Is that how Mr. Show
That's how
came about?
Mr. Show happened. I mean, in the course
On
of that
HBO?
time period, I was doing live shows and David Cross was a part of the scene, and he and I immediately clicked on what a great sketch show could be, similar to Monty Python, and we just clicked comedically in writing. I think we compensated for each other in a lot of ways creatively, and really just clicked. And still to this day, we click. We had a great reunion show at Netflix called With Bob and David.
Right.
Had a great time and felt very effective, and I feel very good about that material, and I would do it again. It's just that David is in England, and we're just in different countries.
But it's fun that you can keep going back to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't feel, it's like a great marriage.
Yeah.
I can only reference my own. It kind of feels like a first date always. It never feels, you get to know each other, but it doesn't, when David and I are working together in a room, working on a bit, it's just got a freshness to it. It never feels stale or like I know where his brain's going to go, and we're amazingly overlaid with each other with our talents.
Are you mad?
I'm not mad. I'm just thinking about things. For 10 minutes today, Chuck didn't hate me. I forgot what that felt like.
You took this turn. I don't know if you were expecting it when you got the role on Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
but this changed everything.
Yeah,
in a
definitely
way.
changed everything. Over the years, I've certainly auditioned for dramatic roles. I've auditioned for a couple Alexander Payne films.
You were in Nebraska.
Yeah, and I was in Nebraska. But the point is, it wasn't like I'd never done. I did a play back in Chicago when I started. I think there are a few parts in Mr. Show that are sort of played on a quieter filmic level of commitment and sort of modulation. And that, honestly, Vince Gilligan told me he gave me the part because of Mr. Show.
Oh.
But also I heard from Peter Gould that
The other producer.
initially they did think Saul was just going to be just funny, just
Right.
a fun, funny one-off, or actually they asked me to do 3 episodes at the end of the second season. They wanted me for 4, but I'd already promised I'd do How I Met Your Mother for the 4th week that they needed me. So that's why they invented the character of Mike, because I couldn't do that week of shooting. So you can thank, if you like Mike's character, and who doesn't want to hug that guy, why don't they make a plushie of Jonathan Banks?
We love him, and the
And
fact
give that
that he's
to your
on,
baby, a little plush Mike.
and he lives on Better Call Saul. So you
Anyhow,
created that, huh?
Yeah, I guess inadvertently by not being available. One of the greatest benefits I've given to the show was to not be available. Anyway, it came out of nowhere. I mean, I did a few things over the years. I didn't shy away from doing a quieter part or a semi-dramatic part, but this was a big surprise, and it was undeserved, unearned, and I went and did it with the focus that I thought it demanded, which is all the focus I could give it. I mean, I could see the level that Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul and Anna Gunn and everyone was playing that world, and I just tried to fit in there. And outside of that, that's all I did. I didn't do anything to help. But Peter Gould said, when I did the part, and he just told me this about a month ago, he said, we wrote it as comedy, you'd done all this comedy, we thought you'd make it funny, and that'd be great. And that was all we wanted out of it. I guess he said, you did it, and there was more character to it than we expected by a great margin, and there was a human being there that we didn't see before I performed it. So that was my contribution inadvertently. The star of the show is the writing, and there's just really, there's kind of no way around that. It's all in the complexity of the writing, the willingness of those guys to let you do it, the protection you get out of their creative talents, and the fact that Peter Gould, Vince Gilligan are the people finishing these. You know, as an actor, you're like, wow, you were great in that part and that moment. And you're like, okay, but that was one take out of 25. Let's get it straight. I was great in that one take, in that one angle. I mean, look, I feel very good about my contribution. I do, and I work hard at it. But there is just no way around it when you start to break it down, as I do, when I'm asked these questions or when I'm given the focus, such as now. There is just no way around. You start to think about what you did, and you start to go, wow, I can't believe they let me do that. Or, yeah, I can't believe they wrote that for me.
What I think is so fascinating about this show is you're playing a character you played before, and now you've gone back to the beginning, and you're evolving him, which is a very difficult task for an actor to do, because you have to unlearn what you know.
Yeah, well, as I experience it, and certainly in the season 3, we get closer to Saul in fundamental ways. It's really like this guy is shutting down. He's like shutting off parts of himself, and in getting to this choice of becoming entirely mercenary person. Saul does not care about anyone but himself. He basically implies it if he doesn't say it outright to Walter White in that first meeting. He is a user of other people, and he is completely straightforward about that, certainly to himself. That's who he is. So he's a person who's shut himself down from caring and feeling about anyone around him. And the justification seems to be, we don't know it entirely because we haven't gotten there, but it just seems to be that in Better Call Saul, Jimmy is a guy who's reaching out and trying to connect. Yeah. And he's getting pushed away and shut down and hurt over and over and over.
It's a rare opportunity for an actor, and in television or in movies to be able to do this and take a character like this, and I'm listening to you dissect him in different points. Do you know where it's going in season 4? Do they tell you? Or?
No, we haven't been ordered for season 4. Let's stipulate that, because we're still in show business.
Okay, let's assume
anything can happen.
But do they have a Bible for this show? In other words, that they sort of like know where it's going to meet.
And if they did, they wouldn't. Well, they would share it with me if I asked, but I don't ask because I really don't want to know what my character doesn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But here's what I do know. Vince and Peter have now publicly stated something that I think is wonderful, and I hope they follow through on, which is Gene, Saul Goodman, after Breaking Bad, when he's in hiding, they're curious about what can become of him. So I'm hoping they will pursue that, and that this character will somehow, well, just because I like the guy, I would like to see him reconstitute his life in some somewhat upbeat, I don't know, healthy way, some way that incorporates whatever you may have learned from Breaking Bad or whatever, experiencing trauma like that. I would love to see that happen. And kind of if it could be some opposite reflection of Walter White's journey, which was one of just going downhill and shutting down, this guy maybe could come out of this with some experience and knowledge, understanding of himself and the world that makes him better.
You're very humble, but you're you're a big part of the success
Thanks.
of this. And good luck continuing with the show. I hope it goes on and on until we find out how he winds up.
Wouldn't
in
it be
Breaking
great?
Bad.
Come on now, give him a happy ending.